That's probably my favorite game. Oh no, Spyro actually might be my favorite game. Crash Bandicoot might be my favorite game.
No, I had a friend with a PlayStation and an Xbox, ironically, but they never really let me play the Xbox. They always let me play the PlayStation.
Welcome to our podcast.
Hi, everyone.
Cheers.
Check it.
That's got a good rim.
Yep, that's the best mug I've ever used.
Yeah. Thanks, Janessa.
Thanks, Janetza.
Buy one, get
Anyway,
one special.
yeah. Uh,
Cool. So, what are we talking about today?
Console Wars.
Console Wars. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, bum.
Yeah. Okay. Also, sorry guys, it's been a little bit. That's on me. I started a new job, and Caleb was kind enough to let me just sleep.
Also, I've been sick.
Yeah.
I
So,
still
I
sound
mean,
sick.
it's a little bit on both of us, but I feel like it's more on me because Caleb's been sick, so he's been home. But I've been in meetings and stuff, but we're back.
Yeah, Paige is a bigwig.
You know it. I'm in the career world now.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I'm in the career world too.
Ooh.
Ooh. That's why I'm up here now.
That's why I have a pillow in my chair now instead of just a metal chair. Just kidding. It's the pillow's always been there.
Yeah, well, I work from home now, so now I have an office with a desk.
Ooh, that's fun. I got
Yeah,
to work from home yesterday because of the snowstorm. Fingers crossed for Friday.
nice. I had
Yeah.
classes for my work last week, and I had to drive in the squall.
Ugh.
Took me 3.5 hours to go 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah,
It's a real bummer.
cool. So consoles.
Consoles. All right. Here's the thing that you need to know. Caleb's been around longer than I have, so he knows more consoles than I do better. But I do feel like recently I've overtaken him in consoles. So that's what we have to offer.
What do you mean you've you own more?
I do believe I own more,
Yeah, definitely, because I only own 3 consoles.
and I feel like a different variety than what you have.
Uh, we'll talk. Okay. I think what we should do is start at the beginning and just name all the consoles and real quickly just rate them.
Okay, first one, Sega.
Oh, my sweet summer child.
Nintendo?
Atari.
Atari. Get off my back.
What
Yeah,
would you
Atari's
rate
good.
Atari?
Usability, definitely a 5.
Okay, yeah, wait. What is our scale? Is it current or like when it came out or like what?
Oh, let's do when it came out, and then let's do two scales. Let's do when it came out versus now. Like where out of like where would you put it?
Okay, when it came out, fives across the board.
Oh yeah. It took the world by storm.
Yeah. Now probably like a 1.5.
Yeah. Yeah. I would probably maybe put it a little bit lower just because like it's easy to use, but there's not a lot of game variety
Yeah, it's just
and
very old.
very two-dimensional. Yep.
Yeah.
Very nostalgic though. There is like a cult following behind it. I will say that.
Yeah. I mean, there are cool things on Atari, but like is whatever. Cool. Now we can jump to Sega because like I feel like I don't know like when every single thing came out, but like there are groupings in my head. There is the dinosaur Atari,
Hmm.
and then there's the next group, which would include Sega.
Yeah. Sega Sega introduced something that was like new, which was color. And well, I think Atari might have had color, but I mean like almost like it was trying to do 3D because Sonic was on Sega.
Yeah, I feel like Sega might be newer than Nintendo Entertainment System.
Yeah, I think Super Mario or the Super Nintendo. came out first. Maybe we should look up a timeline.
Then you're gonna run into weird consoles like Commodore 64 and stuff.
Yeah, but we can just let everyone know we're not doing the weird ones. Okay, so no, it's saying it's saying Atari came, then the NES, then Sega.
Yeah, well, are you on Wikipedia?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because it's got all these weird Magnavox things. Okay, yeah, so let's jump to NES next. Then NES stands for Nintendo Entertainment System.
5.
Five, hands down. What would you give it currently?
Probably a 3.
Four.
Really, a 4.
Yeah, I think it's classic. All it's just like if you okay, if they I think they have come out with like an HDMI NES with like games loaded on it, you know?
Well, I do know also, this is sort of jumping ahead, but on the Nintendo Switch, our sister bought a lot of the NES games on there.
Yeah, I haven't played it on their Switch, but I played it on the Wii for sure.
Yeah, but I think specifically talking about the console though, I would put it at a 3.
Okay, yeah, I guess if you're talking about like how you have to blow into the cartridge and everything, it'd be like a 2.3.
Yeah,
But I mean, when you take it to its core about how it's like A, B, and the D-pad, select, start, I still give it a 4.
yeah, I can see that. What was your favorite game to play on the NES? Because we had an NES, right? Or did we have a Super Nintendo?
My favorite game to play is we had an NES growing up. Um, yeah, yeah. I think the family had that longer than I've been alive.
Wow.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure it was in California that Nate wanted to play. Nate, I'm telling your story. Uh, when Nate played Mario with mom, and she let him be Mario, so she was Luigi, and he just beat the whole game, and she never got a turn.
Okay, I do remember that story.
Yeah, so I think that was in California before I was born.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would say honestly, I don't have much to say. I do remember playing like a soccer game on it.
Oh, that game was so fun. You had to be Argentina.
Yes, yes, actually I was Argentina. And then Mario, of course Mario.
Yeah, Mario. I loved Mario. We had the 3-pack. It was like Mario, Duck Hunt, and that track game. That one was kind of fun too.
Yeah. Okay, I'm remembering these.
Yeah. But a game that I always wanted to play, but I was never allowed was Zoda's Revenge.
Why weren't you allowed?
Because I'm kid number 4 and there's 2 controllers and it's a 1-player game.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So after NES would be Sega.
Hmm.
What would you rate it when it came out?
I would say 4. I think at
Same.
this point, I think at this point, the novelty of a video game console is becoming almost expected. Like they expect for new things to come out. And I would say the Sega offered a lot of new games, but as far as gameplay came with it, they didn't have much to offer. It was still 2 buttons and like,
No, it had X and Y with it. I think it was 4 buttons.
oh really?
I think so. Maybe it was 2.
I'm not see on that part, I'm not sure. And just a reminder, we're average. But I will say that like the Sega, while it was exciting, I wouldn't say that it was as exciting as the Nintendo.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd give it a 4. And current days, I don't know, like a 2.
Yeah, I would say that there are people who like the video games that Sega had to offer, but I don't think I've ever met like a person that was like, "Oh, I love the Sega console." Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a reason Nintendo owns them now. Or
All
does
right.
Sony own them?
I think Sony owns them.
So Sony owns Sega, but Nintendo owns Sonic.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Probably not. Maybe there's just a lot of collaborations.
I feel like this is like an episode where this is very opinion heavy. Um, but like I feel like the consoles are so closely related that I think like we're calling this episode console wars, But at the same time, I think there's that we've reached a point where like I feel like everyone just loves all gaming,
That's true.
especially with crossplay right now. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
definitely true. Okay. Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo. What do you think?
I give it like a 3.5. I didn't care for it.
Really? I would say out of excitement, I would say it's still like 4.5.
Well, I'm saying like my own personal opinion, I give it a 3.5.
Yeah, I would.
Society at large would give every console a 5 as soon as it comes out.
I don't know though. When it comes to the newer consoles, I don't think people are as excited, and I have a heavy case for that.
Yeah, that's true.
Um, I would say for me, the Super Nintendo, it's just at a solid 3. Like, I don't hate it. I see the nostalgia of it, but once again, I have consoles that can just play the games on those consoles, so I don't have a desire to own it.
Yeah. Well, I also feel like when Super Nintendo came out, that's when they started trying to be like really complicated with their games.
Yeah.
Like the Lion King game, that one is specifically like they have said like we made it this difficult so it couldn't be in one rental of the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which is interesting that you bring that up because I do think that like quite recently, I'd probably say like 2018, 2019 is when people stopped renting games because I would rent games off of Redbox. But now they do like trials or Game Pass. So
Oh yeah. It's
I don't
moving to a
know if
streaming model.
yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
I guess I haven't really thought about that.
Cool. So after Super Nintendo, I think would be PlayStation 1.
Yes, you are correct. Good job. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not sure about this, and I'll pass that off to you. I remember the PlayStation 2.
I'm gonna give it a 3.
Really?
Yeah, like I mean it's pretty good, but like I don't know, you just like have to hope and pray that the games load. So Ren had a PlayStation 1.
Oh, I thought his was a PlayStation 2.
No, his was PlayStation 1.
Okay.
And he had a lot of cool games on that. PlayStation 1 was cool because it used like the dual joystick system. Did they use
Mm-hmm.
dual joystick on PlayStation 1 or was that just two?
I'm not sure. I cannot remember.
I'm not sure either, and I'm not going to look it up because I don't want to waste time. uh, we've already wasted too much of our time talking about wasting time. Okay, anyway, so he had Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a ton of fun. That's the one where they have like those triangle faces and
I
stuff.
remember. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a really fun game. It's more accurate than the movies. Peeves is in it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite game. Oh no, Spyro actually might be my favorite game. Crash Bandicoot might be my favorite game.
Okay, but Tony Hawk Pro Skater,
Well, I we played that on Nintendo 64.
which is the next console though, but I do remember playing it on the
Ah,
PlayStation.
I remember playing it on the Nintendo 64.
All right. As of right now, what score would you give it? Ooh, Tony Hawk Pro
Yeah,
Skater.
but it's not Pro Skater 2, which is the best one. What would I give the PS1? I already said a 3.
No, a Nintendo 64.
Oh, Nintendo 64, 5.
I would have to say like a 4.5. Out of the video games, and maybe it's just my age range, out of the video games that I see people collect, Nintendo 64 is pretty high up there.
Yeah, here's the thing. I bought this Nintendo 64 off of Craigslist. It was listed at 80 bucks. I wanted it for 60, so I offered 40 and the dude countered with 60. And it came with the Nintendo 64, an expansion pack which is required to play Donkey Kong 64. Donkey Kong 64, two controllers, and 10 other games that I don't even remember what they are. They're just sitting in this suitcase back here. Tony Hawk was one of them. um, now that same bundle would probably go for about 200.
I would say that there's specific games that people like for instance, I know for a fact, NFL Blitz 2000, that is an expensive game.
I didn't know that. I thought that was just like a cult following in our family.
Just us. No,
Yeah.
actually, they made it into an arcade, like one of those mini arcades, and it's been going around Costco.
Oh, interesting. You know what
Like
else is an
that's how
arcade game?
popular.
It's a fun Nintendo 64 game.
What?
Hydro Thunder.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like a speedboat racing game.
Interesting. Yeah, I would say that the N64 brought and the PlayStation, but I think because everybody knew Nintendo already, they sort of trusted it, whereas PlayStation was new. So like people were more hesitant to get into PlayStation, so it doesn't get a lot of the credit, which is a little bit unfair because it did come out first. Well, before the Nintendo 64. But I feel like the Nintendo 64 really introduced the idea of 3D gaming, like
Yeah.
first person, like walking around.
Well, PlayStation did have that too.
Yeah, but like I was saying, like people just didn't trust it yet. Like they were like, I already have Nintendo systems, so why would I deviate?
Yeah, that's true. And this is really where the console wars started.
I would
Like
say that's true.
PlayStation versus Nintendo 64. That's the genesis of the console war. Like
Yeah.
which one are you gonna get? And it's interesting because like I feel like a lot of people were like hesitant about PlayStation because it used a disc. And I mean Nintendo uses a cartridge, which I mean it's like a solid state thing. It's not a moving part. But the PlayStation is a moving part, but you can fit more information on the disc.
Yeah.
So they're able to have more complex games and things.
Well, and I think also the PlayStation used like not floppy disks, but I want to say like almost like SDs, like memory cards.
Oh, for the memory?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of like an SD card.
Yeah, it was like the beginnings of it. Not a
Yeah.
floppy disk though. But like for the Nintendo 64, the expansion thing is like massive. It's like a massive brick on the back of it, right?
Well, the expansion goes in the front right here. It's this thing. And it's not here. I'm just going to tilt it out because it's actually really hard to get out.
Oh, okay, I see
Um,
it.
it's not a memory thing. It expands. It's like it is a memory thing, but it's random access memory. It's like the memory required to run the program,
Yeah.
but it's not the memory in the that like actually saves it. Um, I got my memory card right here. It's also hard to get out. Here's my memory card.
Yeah.
It's a little cartridge thing.
Which is interesting that they were already inventing those. And then somebody was like, oh, we need one for the computer. Let's create a floppy disk. Like, that's like so much more compact, I feel like.
Well, I mean, Nintendo 64 came out in like what, 96, 97. Floppy
Hmm.
disk has been around since like the 70s.
Yeah, I know. And then they did shortly move away from it. They moved to USBs and like the 2005s or something,
Yeah, I feel like this is like
the
what
beginning
helped
of it.
created USBs. Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't think it's fair to just give your favorite game for Nintendo 64. We need a top three.
For me,
Yeah.
okay. Well, for me, because I didn't really get to play that much because I am the fifth and there were only four controllers. I
This
would
was back when
say,
Ren would play with us.
yeah. Well, Ren would still play. He really likes slappers only.
Yeah.
Um,
On 007 for people who are not familiar.
yeah. Just a game mod where you'd walk around slapping each other. That's the exact noise. I would say for me, I really like as an adult, I really like NFL Blitz. I'm not the best at it, but I do like it.
To be clear,
Um,
it's Blitz 2000.
Blitz 2000. Yes, thank
There
you.
is an NFL Blitz, and Blitz 2000 is light years better.
Yes. I don't know why they deviated. They could make it again and I would play it right now with all the characters. Well, I guess they're not characters, actual real life men who play the game.
They don't even need to
Uh,
update the graphics.
I don't even need I don't even care about the names. I just want it on all consoles. And then I would say I really liked Wave Rider. That one was way fun.
Do you? Do you
And
like it? Because that's not what it's called.
what is it?
Wave race.
Yeah, that's it. Once again, I was the fifth child and I had very limited time where it was just me playing. And then of course, Goldeneye, but that's just because we played it as a family. Wow.
My own personal copy. It's not the family's.
I did also I do remember playing Donkey Kong, but I only played that like a few times. And I think it's because you guys liked it so much.
No, it's because we didn't own it.
Oh.
We had to rent it from Hollywood Video.
Mm.
Yeah. And one time I remember we rented it like 3 weeks after we had rented it, and our save file was still there on the game.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah. But now I'm wondering if it was just in our own memory card.
What about you? What are your top three?
Number three, Smash Bros. Number two, actually, number three, Donkey Kong 64. Number two, Smash Bros. Number one, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
I should have guessed it. See, that's the thing. I never got to play those games because you guys were always on it.
I never played Zelda until GameCube, actually.
Really?
Yeah, because mom wouldn't let us. It was a demon game or something. I don't know.
Now mom doesn't care.
Now she doesn't care.
And I would say for those of you who do like Super Nintendo and like Sega and all of those, I think it's important to note that like exactly what you said is that the console wars didn't really start until PlayStation and uh Nintendo 64 existed. And so like we didn't really mean to skim over them, but we did a little bit because they're not really in a fight. Like it was so like every time a new console came out, that was a console. There was no other console really to compete with.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we still love you guys.
With Nintendo 64, I will say this is my favorite era of games. I don't know if it's nostalgia or what, but like I love the games. Like they're complex enough, but they're not so complex that like you don't have to pump in 200 hours to beat it.
Yes.
You know, it's just a fun game and the game is complete. That's a thing that we'll probably get into. Okay, after Nintendo 64, I believe is PlayStation 2.
It is.
And
Yep.
this is when console wars got bumping.
I think the graphics got updated. Faces weren't triangles anymore. They were still blurry.
Yeah, this is when PlayStation really was able to hang their hat on graphics.
Yeah. And then also I think people started to really trust discs. So people were like, why would I carry around these massive thick discs or cases,
Cartridges.
cartridges, thank you, rather than a small disc?
Yeah. Real quick, I do just want to mention we are entirely skipping over all handhelds.
Yes. While they may be considered consoles, they don't connect to a TV. They're not meant to.
Yeah, oh, you can totally connect a Game Boy to the TV.
They're not meant to. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we are skipping handhelds. But yeah, PlayStation 2, people started trusting the discs. Their graphics are getting way better. I know for a fact they had two joysticks now. Yeah, which I mean, can we just mention real quick that the Nintendo 64's controller is a literal abomination?
Yeah, seriously. Like, what is that? Like, I they were like, okay, two hands, three places to hold it.
Okay, okay. I mean, we're gonna back up here. What they did was they took the Super Nintendo controller and they widened it and put a joystick in the middle.
Yeah, I
That's what
get
they did.
that.
So they made it so you could play games like you would with the Super Nintendo, but then also, hey, you have a joystick.
Yeah, but the three prong thing, I mean, it's iconic. Don't get me wrong. Like,
Oh yeah, there's a reason
you
they
see
don't
the
do it
outline.
anymore.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, I would say yes to that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But they learned their lesson with the GameCube, which came out to rival the PlayStation 2.
Well, yeah, we're just kind of glossing over PlayStation 2 a little bit because we didn't own one.
No, but to be honest, I do think that it did pave the way, for, like, people saw how well PlayStation 1 did, and then they were like, okay, we need to do this. So they made it so that way, like, you could play games like you would with the Super Nintendo, but then also, hey, you have a joystick. Yeah.
Yeah.
PlayStation 1 did And so I think that they wanted to compete with that, which also immediately after the GameCube was the Xbox release.
I thought Xbox came out before GameCube.
Mm, no, Xbox came out after.
Oh, okay. So PlayStation 2 and then GameCube,
Hmm.
which this is Nintendo being Nintendo. They used little discs instead of a regular disc.
Yeah, which I get it a little bit because they're like, people have to buy our carrying cases, people have to buy our like cases.
And it might be cheaper. It might be cheaper in materials to make a little disc.
Yeah. But
Well,
ultimately, it was weird.
yeah, but okay, here's the thing. PlayStation, Sony is a Japanese company catering to American people. Nintendo is a Japanese company catering to Japanese people.
Hmm.
And a thing about Japan is like everything is so compact there. So they were trying to make their stuff smaller.
That is true.
That's why the Wii is so small. That's why they came up with the Switch later, because they're like, hey, now you can have a handheld and a TV console at the same time. That was the whole idea behind the Switch. That's why
That's a
the
very
Switch
astute
uses
observation.
little. Well, it's not an observation. I read about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I've never thought about that. I guess that is true. Like, I forget how big gaming is. Like I just always assume in the entertainment industry, I always assume that movies are like the biggest way to rack in money, but that's not true at all. It's gaming. Gaming is the way to do it because Hogwarts Legacy came out and it made like billions of dollars. And and then like the highest grossing movie made like maybe half a billion. And like I just forget how big it is. So like the fact that you were like, "Oh, well, that's Japanese culture." Like it's so cool that we get a benefit from a culture from an entirely different country, but we get a benefit from it and we don't even like understand how it affects us. But it is cool to see it.
Yeah. Well, did you know that we have a different Super Mario Bros. 2 because of
Really?
culture? Yeah.
Why?
Our
What is
Super
it?
Mario Bros. 2 was a rebrand of some Tanuki game or something. I don't remember what it was actually called. I think it was called Tanuki, something like that. But like Super Mario 2 was released in Japan, and then American Nintendo reps were like, this is too hard for the American people. We need an easier game. So they took this easier game that they had and they're like, oh, here's Super Mario 2.
That's funny.
Yeah. So there's a fun culture thing.
I appreciate it. As one of those Americans, I appreciate
It's
it.
just weird though, because it doesn't fit.
Hmm.
Nothing about it fits. Okay,
Yeah.
PlayStation 2. What was your favorite PlayStation 2 game you ever played?
Oh, Tony Hawk,
Where did you play Tony Hawk?
Spencer Harshman's house.
Uh, I always played Tony Hawk on the 64 and then the GameCube.
No, I had a friend with the PlayStation and an Xbox, ironically, but they never really let me play the Xbox. They always let me play the PlayStation. Um, I liked it.
We're gonna get this out of the way right now. Where do you stand in the console war?
Oh,
Right before Xbox comes out. Where do you stand?
before Xbox came out,
Yeah,
I would still probably go Nintendo, but that's just because that's what we had in the home.
it's just weird that you're like, oh, I played on the PlayStation. Where are you now?
Xbox.
Yeah, me too.
But I have a good reason for it. Don't hate me yet. Stay tuned.
Okay. My favorite game on PlayStation 2 would probably have to be The Lord of the Rings Two Towers because it's the only game I remember playing. Spider-Man. It's Spider-Man.
Oh, and you know what though? This that Spider-Man game actually was way ahead of its time in the mechanics. I've been like looking at him. Our little brother likes him. I don't. He's not that little. He's bigger than me, but um, he likes Spider Man, and I've been watching like a lot of TikToks on it. And uh, it was such a good way for the player to like swing from building to building. That's where if you have a game where it involves like grappling or slinging from one place to the next, it was built because of that one. Like
Oh,
it like
nice.
that was like the foundation of it. Yeah.
I didn't realize that the webs were actually going anywhere because I feel like you just had to hit a button and then a web just shot up out of the screen and you could just swing.
No, it's interesting how they did it. It's like different anchor points, and they just added a bunch of them
Hmm,
everywhere.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun game.
What about you? Before Xbox came out?
Nintendo, 100%. I've never been
Yeah.
Team PlayStation.
Yeah, I do like the idea of PlayStation. I like how the sleekness of it, and there are a few games that almost have got me over there a couple times. But
What games? Or do you want to talk about it later?
we'll talk about it soon.
Okay, so GameCube.
Hmm.
Oh, what do you rate the PlayStation 2? We didn't rate it.
I would I'd probably put it at 2.5. If I were to collect an old
Wow.
game, if I were to collect an old console, it wouldn't be a PlayStation 2. It would be a GameCube, which is the console that it was competing against.
Wouldn't even be a GameCube for me. It would be a Wii that's able to play GameCube.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the thing. Like it's not anywhere on my radar. The PlayStation, like the first PlayStations, there's no need for
Yeah,
them.
no. There is one PlayStation out there that is like a remote control car or something. It was like a special Need for Speed thing, but there's only one in existence. So
Oh, that's cool. I wonder who owns it.
I don't know. I saw it on like a TikTok forever ago. It might not even be a car. I just remember that there's like one unique PlayStation
Some
out there.
some person like super glued it to
It,
a
it might
remote
it
control.
might even be PlayStation 4. I don't know.
That's cool though.
Here's the thing about PlayStation. I don't care for it. I'll play it, but I don't care for it. 2.4.
Yeah. Whoa, lower than mine.
Yeah, well, you know.
Once again, if you're a PlayStation fanboy, please don't leave yet. I have a good I have a good case. um okay, so after that,
Everyone who loves PlayStation is like, I can't believe you do my boy Spyro like that.
well, and that is another thing. The game that I played on PlayStation wasn't even a PlayStation game alone. It was Tony Hawk, which can be played on GameCube,
Yeah.
which I did play quite a bit. But at that point, I think it was like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 or 4 at that point.
Yeah, we had
So,
four.
yeah. So it was, for one, graphics were better at that point, and I didn't need to go get a PlayStation 2 to play a different game.
GameCube.
Yeah,
What are you gonna rate it?
GameCube. 4.3.
5.
Really?
Yeah, it has the best controller ever.
I like how small it is with my little hands.
Well, it's just the most ergonomic in my opinion. I like how your finger just like chills in the trigger. If they were to just update it to like have two triggers now and like the C stick so it's not so small
Hmm.
and the D-pad so it's not so small, it would be a perfect controller.
Yeah, I do like that controller a lot. Um, I also think that that's the one that I genuinely remember playing alone a lot. I think also at this point, it's not really like it's not going to say it, but I think at this point is also when people started to play a lot of PC games also.
Yes. It's when
And I think
when it started becoming more prevalent because like I had friends that played PC games all the way back when it was Nintendo 64. We had PC games.
I would say whenever the disc came out, that's when PC games started to really become, like involved. But I think the thing is that people sort of saw computers as like a work device, not a playing device.
Yeah.
And so while we're sort of including that in the console wars, we're not also. It's like an in between. It is a console, but it's not. It's a tool that's also used for other things,
Yeah. Well, and that's how Xbox came about because I mean, it's a Microsoft product. Microsoft wanted to get in on the gaming thing. So they
which then
created,
brings us to the Xbox.
yeah, it's the next one, Xbox. Wait, what's your favorite GameCube game?
Oh, goodness. That's a hard one. That is so hard. I freaking loved Sims. I lived off of Sims. I would say Sims.
Ask me.
Okay. Hey, Caleb, what's your favorite GameCube game?
Pitfall Lost Expedition.
Oh, I should have said Pitfall. That okay, but I never actually finished it. The shaman freaked me out.
You should go look up some clips of it. He's not scary.
I know, but as a kid, the freaking alligator scared the poop out of me. Every time I fell in the water, I was like, and then the freaking shaman. I don't know why. I think I had like nightmares about him.
That's awesome. Funny thing though, it's not just a GameCube game. You can play it on PlayStation or Xbox.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd probably just be Zelda.
Or Polar
Ocarina of Time,
Express.
actually. Frick, that game is
Oh
so
yeah.
easy.
I never finished the playthrough, but I did like the way the Zelda Windbreaker. I love it. I love it. I don't know why.
Wind
I like the
Waker.
vibes. Wind Waker. What did I say? Windbreaker?
Windbreaker.
Okay, but if there's a Zelda Wind Waker, Windbreaker, send it this way. It's pretty late over here, guys.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to Xbox.
Okay. Woo woo. Xbox.
Yay. Xbox
Although
One. I'm just gonna tell you right now, I'm rating it a 2.
one. It was bulky, it overheated.
It had the
There
two
wasn't
weird buttons, the white and black button.
I mean it did have the cool controllers
It had the
that
worst controllers.
but they did have the fun lights in them.
What's the best game on Xbox? One, two, three. Halo.
Halo. Yeah. I would say that if Halo didn't exist, Xbox wouldn't be where it's at right now.
Yeah, 100%.
The storytelling completely saved Xbox.
Yeah.
I would say
And
that
now they're ruining it on Paramount Plus.
Yes. Why can't they just make it the exact same story? I don't understand. They made the freaking movie on like Netflix or something that like doesn't quite follow it, and then they made the other one. Anyway.
So after Xbox is Xbox 360.
Yes.
Yes. I would give it currently today probably a 2.6.
Yeah.
But when it was out, like 4.
I do not know why the death ring was so prevalent.
I think it was actually just a heating issue. People just needed to clean the fans. I think that's literally it.
Is that really what it was?
Yeah, but like it's not easy to open the Xbox, so you could damage it.
I liked the Xbox 360. I think it really opened up the online world.
Oh yeah, that's when LAN parties got big. Like you and 15 friends would get together and play Halo 2 or Halo 3.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Halo 3 was our jam.
Oh yeah, we were so good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. And honestly, I think that's where because Xbox, they produced the Xbox, then they jumped forward and released the Xbox 360 before the PlayStation 3 and before the Wii. So there was like a
Yeah.
period of time where there was no new consoles except for the Xbox 360. And I think people really enjoyed what it had to offer. And I think also, people can correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's also where they released Minecraft was the Xbox 360.
Probably. I could see that.
And this is where I officially got started was the Xbox 360. Our sister brought it home. That's where we like really loved it. But that was the first console that I personally like went out and bought with my own money.
Oh.
So that's where my love of Xbox started because they had Skyrim.
Oh yeah, you love Skyrim.
I freaking love Skyrim. And I do think that it might be open platform now, but back then I don't think it was. And also Halo was closed, and I think because of those games, that's why I was an Xbox person. I wasn't
And Guitar
attached.
Hero.
And freaking Guitar Hero, guys. I'm a wizard at Guitar Hero.
I used to be way better than you.
Used to be is the correct term. Yeah.
Yeah.
I spent hours on that game. So anyway, Xbox 360 it's definitely like gone down over time. And I had like 3 at one point, but I sold them all.
Yeah, well, and when Xbox 360 came out, that's when Nintendo started leaving the console wars conversation.
Yeah. Do you know why?
It's because Nintendo, well, it's actually because of the Wii. Like at that point, so like Xbox 360 came out, then PlayStation 3 came out, and Nintendo was still the GameCube. And it's like, who's gonna pick the GameCube over those other two? Especially like PlayStation, their graphics are out of out of this world.
Hmm.
Like I knew people who were picking PlayStation for their graphics, Xbox for its computing power. Why are you going to pick GameCube? The only reason you pick GameCube is for Mario or Link.
Yeah.
That's literally the only reason. And then, um, well, real quick, PlayStation 3. I don't really know much about it. It's basically just a PlayStation 2 to me.
I would say the only thing that they really did that upgraded it was the online community, which they sort of got themselves in trouble for that because they had it to where you had to like pay for certain things. I'm not entirely sure
You
exactly
had to
what
pay
was
for it on Xbox too.
yeah, but there was like there was a conversation about it, how it was like more expensive. Like it was like a month to month, I think.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not the expert on it. I'm just average, but
Three,
I don't know.
three for the PlayStation 3.
yeah, three.
My favorite game for PlayStation 3. I don't think I ever played PlayStation 3.
I would say also that the PlayStation 3 came out pretty much the same time as the Wii. So if you already owned the Xbox 360 and you were going to buy a new console, it wasn't going to be the Xbox or the PlayStation 3.
It would be the Wii.
Yeah. What would you give the Wii?
5.9.
I would give it a reasonable 4.5.
The Wii is so cool.
It is. I still am amazed by it.
Yeah, and they had so many fun things like the wheel, the freaking zapper gun, like I don't know, like pulling the bow and arrow was like one of my favorite things for Zelda before I found out that you could literally just like hold the controllers and you don't really even need to point.
or the or the Wii Fit board.
Ah, hate that thing.
Yeah, it says everyone's
You
obese.
are obese.
Your me just goes from like skinny to like
Yeah, and it's like granted I am obese, but like come on. I was 16. That was rude.
I like that. I think that was the first time though, because well, I just like jumped in my thought ahead and it showed in my sentence. Um, I would say that it was really cool that the creators of Nintendo made a gaming console that would ultimately better their users' lives. And I do think that it was a heavy point in research to be like, is the gaming world that bad? Because I think there's been like a stigma around the gaming world up until about this time. Like there were a lot of homes that were boycotting consoles until the Wii.
Yeah, everyone had to have a Wii. Is that the best selling console ever?
I do think so.
I'm not gonna look it up. I'm just gonna be in my happy little brain.
I do think so. I think the Wii just really like went everywhere.
Yeah. And they did a lot of innovations with the Wii. Like they came out with the Wii Motion Plus.
Mhm. And the
Uh,
Connect.
yeah, well, the Connect was Xbox.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like the Connect didn't work as well.
I think the Connect was really hard to like follow your exact motions.
Yeah, the thing I liked about the Wii was that you could still plug in controllers and like your GameCube controllers and still play that way. What was your
Yeah.
favorite game on the Wii?
Oh, Wii Sports.
Interesting. Interesting that you say that and you only got pro in bowling. I
Once
was
again,
also pro in golf.
once again, I am the fifth child, so I didn't get much say in what we did. And
Okay,
also,
okay, but at that point you were fourth controller.
I would say that yeah, I guess so. Anyway, I liked Wii Sports. What about you?
Twilight Princess. Okay, actually, here's the thing. Skyward Sword is my favorite Zelda game, but it's
Mm.
more for the story. The gameplay actually kind of ticks me off.
I would say if a console has a video game with a good story, I do think that they have a good case.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give it to Twilight Princess because it's got good gameplay and a good story. You turn
That's a
into
good
a
one.
wolf. Come on.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Come on.
Okay, up
But
next.
but whoa, whoa,
Oh,
whoa.
sorry.
I'm a Nintendo stan. You can't just do that to me.
So sorry.
This is when Nintendo starts to leave the conversation because they've diverted in how you play the game. Because now it's a lot of like motion and pointing at the TV and stuff. It's not just your regular controller.
Hmm.
So
I
now
do.
now video game developers stopped creating games for Nintendo because they had to like it's very easy to take what you've done for PlayStation and equate it to an Xbox controller because they're the same.
Mhm.
But you can't do that for Wii.
No, and if they did come out with new games, it was more like Mario Party or like things that were meant for family friendly audiences. And I think it's because they knew their market and they were like, we gotta appeal to them. But I do feel like the other consoles, like PlayStation and Xbox especially, they appeal to everyone, family and adults.
Yeah.
And I do think that the Wii does appeal to adults, but adults also don't have like a ton of time to like just play like a game just to play it. Like I think that they want that story behind it a lot of the times.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of adults play shooter games. And if you're going to play a shooter game, you're probably going to pick PlayStation or Xbox.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, the controller is better. The graphics are way better on PlayStation. The online community is better in Xbox.
Yeah.
Like, Nintendo's got nothing going for it there.
Which brings us to Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, which were released relatively close together. At this point, I think it's interesting. They're not trying to change the controller. They're not trying to change even really like the look of the console. They're just trying to make it more um up to date on technology. Like Xbox 360, I think the pixels were at 720 to 1080 if you had the newer one. And then when they came out with the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, that's when they went to 1080 or 2K pixels and then also 4K pixels. And so it wasn't necessarily like, hey, look at our new console. It's, hey, you have a better TV. Here's a console to go with it. And I mean, they still did release. And then this is also Xbox lost a lot of customers here because of the Halo debacle.
What's the Halo debacle?
Well, I think you know it, but I think you're asking just specifically for the audience. Bungie and Microsoft were the original creators of Halo. Microsoft, Xbox had a huge cult following for Halo specifically. Bungie broke or finally ended their contract with Microsoft and said, Microsoft, you sort of suck. We're leaving. And so Bungie became its own video game company. And but Microsoft got to keep the rights of Halo. So they released Halo 5 with the Xbox One. And ironically, Xbox One is spelled ONE. So it's not the original Xbox One. Um, they created Halo 5, and Halo 5, while it was good, was a flop. And I think a lot of the customers were like, do I really need this Xbox? Like, should I go to a PlayStation? Because at that point, if I'm going to upgrade solely for the pixels, this whole time PlayStation has had better graphics. So why not?
Yeah. I almost went to PlayStation at PlayStation 4
Me too.
because our cousin Derek had a PlayStation 4 and there's a game that came with it. It was just like a side scroller, like spaceship type game, but it was a lot of fun. Um, and the graphics are way better on PlayStation. The only reason I stuck with Xbox, the only reason I got an Xbox One was because you had an Xbox One and I wanted to play Destiny with you and Porter.
Yeah.
And cross platform wasn't a thing yet. Also, I mean, Master Chief Collection,
Yeah.
all the original Halos.
Well, I would say my reason for going over would have been for God of War.
That one does look good.
It looks so good. And I've watched the playthrough online. I think I would have really loved to play that game. But I was in college at the time. It wasn't feasible. Maybe one day I'll buy a PlayStation, but I just don't have a ton of time. I'm very selective on which games I play.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. But I would give Xbox One, honestly, I'd probably just give it like a 4.
I gotta give my guy a 5. He's still running.
I have one over there. Let's see. Well, it's sort of messy. I have the Battlefield edition one. Um, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, actually, no, it sucks now. I really need a new one, but what can you do?
Mine was the newest Xbox.
Yeah, and that's the other thing about Xbox Ones. Instead of coming out with a new console, they just updated the hardware but kept the same name. So I have like the original Xbox One, and it sucks. You
Yeah,
you had like the Xbox One S or the One X, didn't you?
Xbox One X,
Nice. Yeah, so I guess they
Battlefield
did they
edition.
did change the names a little bit. Um, so in the midst of Xbox upgrading and PlayStation 4 staying PlayStation 4, there was Wii U,
Yes.
which was okay. I mean, it did have Smash Bros. Wii U.
I think you still ran off of a Wii. It just had the handheld portion of it. And it
Well,
was
you
like,
didn't run off of a Wii. It was a whole different system.
yeah, I don't think, but the thing is, I don't think it changed enough. I think all the consoles ran into the same issue. It wasn't changing enough to urge people to get a new console.
Yeah, no, the Wii U was actually pretty bad.
Yeah.
But then the Switch, that one's pretty good.
Tell me about it.
I mean, I already kind of talked about it. It's like it's the real like handheld slash TV console. Their controller is wonky. I don't like the Switch controller unless you go and buy like GameCube type controller. Also, this is one of my biggest gripes with Nintendo. They moved where the A button is. I hate it. Like all growing up, A was like your main button and B was to the left of it. And now they've like rotated it 90 degrees. So A is like this weird side button. And I mean B still is to the left of it, but now B is like your main button. And they've like changed everything in their games. So you're like hitting B to select everything and like X to go back. And I'm like, why? Just can we okay? Like, come on.
I do think also they made the controller smaller for small hands, for kid hands.
Well, not just small kid hands, it's compact. So it's
Yeah.
compact.
Yeah. I do have a Nintendo Switch. I do enjoy it, but I feel like it's also a party console where it's easier to play with people rather than alone.
Yeah.
Honestly, I haven't put enough time or effort into that console. I do like it a lot. So for that, I would probably give it like a 4.3. I do think it's still very relevant. Eh, but the same thing, I just don't use it as much as my Xbox.
So Nintendo's like kind of carved out a little niche for themselves where it's like they're able to like make it so people buy a Switch and an Xbox or a Switch and a PlayStation. You know, most people
Yeah.
now actually have PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. Like people are starting to buy the consoles for the specific games. Like people are buying PlayStation 5 for Spider-Man. People are buying Xbox for Halo, except that's kind of going out the door now.
Yeah.
And people
I
are
would
buying
say
Switch for Mario.
now I don't know about this, but I do know that the new Spider-Man came out and that was a huge hit. Everyone was a little bit upset that it didn't win Game of the Year. And I know that for Microsoft, they have a few games coming out specifically for them. And I think one of the biggest things that Microsoft has done has really put a corner on the market for the EA games. Like that's a
Do
part
they
of their
own
Game
EA?
Pass. No, you can still play on the PlayStation, but there you can get all of them for the Xbox Game Pass. So instead of paying $60 for each sport, you just pay $60 a year for all of them.
Hmm, nice.
So I will say Xbox has that going for it. I would say that Nintendo just runs off of nostalgia. They're just riding that wave of nostalgia. And until that wave starts to diminish, I don't think that they're going to try to make something new. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they are working on a new console. It's actually interesting because Nintendo came out with a new console like every 5 or 10 years. I don't remember. I feel like it's every 5 years, every 10
Hmm.
years, like every maybe five. I don't remember. I was 7 years.
Okay, that sounds good. That's fact.
Nintendo used to come out with a new console every now and then, and now they're not.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like they used to be on like a schedule, but like with the Switch, they're like double the time frame that they used to be.
Hmm.
So it's going to be kind of interesting. I feel like they are working on something. I feel like I read something about it, but I have no idea what it's going to end up being. I don't know if they're going to try to enter the console wars again. Um, so currently, the current console wars are Switch, Xbox Series X/S, and PlayStation 5.
Yeah, I would say that as far as consoles go, we also have a Nintendo Switch. And I do want to talk about one console that I would say some people don't consider a console. We have an Oculus.
Oculus. I knew it.
Yeah. I would say for the first week of owning it, I was on cloud nine. I was loving it. Loving playing the Beat Saber, loving doing these fake roller coasters. And then I played paintball and I got so sick. I almost like passed out. I played for so long and I didn't realize that my body wasn't feeling good. And then I took off the head things and Preston was asleep on the couch. And I don't usually get sick. And if I get sick, I don't usually ask for Preston's help. I mean, he'll offer it because he knows, but he was asleep, right? So I like went over and I woke him up and I was like, I'm not feeling good. And he's like, oh, sorry. Rolls over, goes back to sleep. I like wobble over to our bed and I just lay down and I was sick for like the rest of the day. And ever since I've been so afraid. I like will put it on for like 15 minutes, but that is not a console that you play for hours on end. I was afraid for my life.
Good to know.
Yeah. Anyway, also it runs off of Facebook, which is bulky and irritating. So I give that 3.2.
Nice. Good to know. I will not rate it because I have never played one.
Yeah.
I mean,
Also,
outside of Fat Cats, Fat Cats has them. I've done it at
yeah,
Fat Cats.
yeah, but Fat Cats is different because I feel like you have the surround sound hearing, whereas that is just blaring like right next to your eyes the whole time.
Also, theirs is hooked up to a computer.
Yeah. And they have fans blowing on you. Yeah.
Cool. So currently, what would you pick out of the consoles?
Honestly, Xbox.
Why?
Um, I am just familiar with its mechanics. That's honestly what it comes down to. I'm familiar with the mechanics. I like the games that it has to offer. I know what it's going to offer, and I have a network of people around me that also use Xbox. So
And
that's
that
why I
right
pick it.
there is the only reason why I would pick Xbox.
Really, would you be a PlayStation person?
I think I would jump ship to PlayStation. They just have better games like Spider-Man, God
Mm-hmm.
of War.
Mm-hmm.
Destiny has so many more perks as a PlayStation player, or they used to. I don't know if they still do. I think Bungie and PlayStation have now kind of got mad at each other. um, yeah, I mean, also a PlayStation 5 controller did innovate a little bit. They have a little touch pad. I don't
That's
know.
actually pretty cool. I would
I
say,
mean, it's not as cool as like a freaking whole touch screen like the Switch has.
yeah. Well, yeah, obviously. Honestly, I think it just comes down to community. I think if there was a huge game that came out that I was actually super interested in PlayStation, I would maybe look at it. Because honestly, the reason that I upgraded my Xbox wasn't even because I wanted to upgrade. It's because Hogwarts Legacy came out and it was only playable on PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X, and PC. and Xbox Series X, I think, was the cheapest out of all of them. So,
And Xbox Series S, you could play it on the S.
oh yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, which I refuse to get an S because it's solely digital. It's only 500 gigabytes. It doesn't play 4K. Three strikes, you're out.
Yeah, that is a bummer. Whereas the Xbox Series X plays 8K.
Wow, I didn't know it went all the way up to 8K. I just knew it did 4K at least.
No, it can go, it has the capabilities of going up to 8K, but there aren't TVs that are sold in that yet. I mean, there are, but you have to like spend like a buttload of money.
Nice. Yeah, so it can go up to 8K. It can play my Blu-rays, which Nintendo, come on. They have never had a console that has played movies.
Yeah, interesting.
The Wii might have played DVDs, but at that point, Xbox and PlayStation were doing Blu-rays. Anyway, so Xbox will play my Blu-rays, and it has a terabyte.
Hmm.
Three strikes, you're in.
Yeah.
Except it's too much money, so I'm still rocking this like 15-year-old console over here. Also, I want to point out console wars really don't exist anymore.
Yeah, which is ironic because the whole episode is about console wars.
Yeah, we're just reviving the old stuff, but people just don't care. People at this point, they know where the strengths lie. Like you said, Switch is a party console. Xbox has like the computing power, and then like PlayStation has the graphics, and they each have their own games. So you just pick your console based on the game you want to play.
Well, and then also like let's say like you don't have it on your console. We have YouTube now. We can go watch it because that's ultimately what it's about is the story, which is why people were buying those big games. That's because they wanted to know what the story was about.
Yeah, I've never played Knights of the Old Republic, but I've watched all the cutscenes.
Or like The Last of Us, never played it, but I've watched the playthrough and the series.
I watched just the series.
Freaky. I don't like zombie games, so I don't think I would have played it anyway, but
Oh yeah, definitely not. Especially after watching the TV show, there's no way I'm gonna play that game.
yeah, but the story's interesting. I like the story.
Yeah, really good story.
Yeah. But ironically, the game of the year that won this year was Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate's only PC right now.
Lame. It should have been Tears of the Kingdom.
Actually, people are mad that it's not Spider-Man
I know,
on
but there's
PlayStation.
also a group of people that are mad that it's not Tears of the Kingdom. Okay.
It's like you and three other guys.
Oh, there's actually there's a good group of people. There's
I
so many
know.
people that are diehard Zelda.
I think there were a lot of good games this year. I think COVID really gave people the opportunity to get into gaming. So there's that too.
Well, we'll just see what Nintendo comes up with next, and they will be back on top.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. All right, guys. Tell us your consoles. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Also share this. Did you guys know that we got 300 views on Percy Jackson?
High five, everybody. This is all for everyone. Woohoo!
That's a new record.
Yeah, we're pretty proud of it. Caleb texted me at like 10 p.m. and he's like, "Oh!"
It averaged 1 minute of watch time, but hey, 300 views.
Also,
Let's get this one.
just a reminder. Also, we our only goal is to keep this podcast running this year. So, thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And if you do like it, just send it to your friends who might like it too.
Yeah, love you guys.
Bye.
Wow.
Nerd.